always believed that fear announces itself loudly. A scream, a shadow, a sudden noise in the dark. I was wrong. Sometimes fear whispers so softly that you mistake it for your own imagination. My garden was the most ordinary thing about my life. A narrow patch of land behind my house, bordered by a low brick wall and overgrown bougainvillea. The centerpiece was a small collection of stone statues, nothing fancy. A kneeling angel with chipped wings, a child holding a bowl, and a weather-worn lion placed near the guava tree. They had been there for years. I could walk through the garden blindfolded and still know exactly where each statue stood. That's why the first change unsettled me. One morning, as I watered the plants, something felt off. The angel statue seemed closer to the path. Not much, maybe an inch. I laughed it off. You're tired, I told myself. You just don't remember. The next day, the lion's head was angled slightly left. The day after that, the child statue's bowl was tilted downward, as if it were pouring something unseen onto the soil. Each change was too small to confidently accuse reality itself. I blamed memory, perspective, shadows shifting with the sun, but a nagging discomfort began to grow, like a splinter under the skin. Because the changes weren't random, they felt intentional. By the end of the week, denial was no longer an option. The angel had moved again. This time, there was no mistaking it. Its stone feet were now directly on the gravel path, something I would never have done. The gravel beneath showed no drag marks, no disturbance. I stood there longer than I cared to admit, staring, trying to reconstruct a logical explanation. That night, I decided to document everything. I placed small stones at the base of each statue, markers that would break if the statue shifted. I measured distances with a tape and noted angles in a notebook. I even set up a cheap time-lapse camera borrowed from a friend, aimed squarely at the garden. I slept poorly. The next morning, my markers were intact, but the statues had moved, not dragged, not toppled, repositioned. The angel now faced my bedroom window. The child statue's bowl pointed toward my back door. The lion had turned entirely around, staring at the house. My breath felt shallow as I reviewed the footage. Hours passed, normally plants swaying, insects moving, shadows crawling across the ground. Then, between two frames, the statues were suddenly in new positions. No blur, no motion. One frame normal, next frame changed, as if something had reached between moments and gently rearranged them. I ruled out wind, ruled out animals, ruled out pranksters. No footprints, no broken markers, no sign of forced entry. The garden had been touched by something that left no trace, except intention. Fear changed shape after that. It wasn't panic, it was violation. Something unseen was entering my space, not violently, not chaotically, but with care, precision, like an artist adjusting a sculpture. I began researching late into the night residual energy theories, poltergeist behavior, quantum displacement. Most explanations relied on randomness or emotional outbursts. But this wasn't random, this was deliberate. Each repositioning subtly altered sightlines. The statues were slowly being arranged to observe the house. Windows, doors, corners where light spilled out at night. I felt watched, but not in the way one fears a predator. It felt like evaluation. The psychological weight was unbearable. Every time I stepped into the garden, I expected to see a statue turn just enough to acknowledge me. Sometimes, I caught myself whispering, "I see you too," to empty air. That scared me more than anything else. I wasn't alone, at least, not historically. Old folklore spoke of house watchers, entities that never appeared directly, but interacted through objects meant to represent life. Statues, dolls, effigies. In some cultures, they were guardians. In others, observers. I joined online forums dedicated to unexplained phenomena. Buried among hoaxes and fantasies were stories eerily similar to mine. A woman whose porcelain figurine slowly rotated to face her bed. A farmer whose scarecrows changed poses overnight, always pointing toward the house. An old man who swore his stone Buddha smiled wider every year. One phrase appeared again and again: "They don't move when you look." I reached out to a folklorist who reluctantly responded. His message was short: if something is arranging representations of humans, it's usually practicing or learning. Learning what? The movements grew bolder after that. One night, the angel was inches from my back door. I stopped sleeping. Every sound outside felt deliberate. Every creak of the house seemed rehearsed. The time-lapse camera continued its silent witnessing, but reviewing it became torture. Frame by frame, the statues crept closer, not to the house itself, but to me. Their final positions always mirrored where I had spent the most time that day. When I worked late in the living room, the lion faced that window. When I slept in the guest room, the child statue turned toward it. One morning, I found something new. A statue I did not own. It stood at the edge of the garden row, unfinished, vaguely human in shape. No features, no details, just a suggestion of a form. Cold stone. My hands shook as I circled it. There were no marks of delivery, no tracks, no explanation. The camera footage skipped again. One frame, empty garden. Next frame, the new statue standing there, and in the final frame before dawn, it had turned, facing my bedroom window. I understood then. The statues were not moving toward the house. They were being arranged into a rehearsal, a still life study of me. I moved out the next day, left everything behind, sold the house without explanation. But sometimes, when I close my eyes, I still see stone figures turning incrementally, patiently learning how to stand, how to watch, how to wait.